Hal Jordan is trying to steady himself, repeating the mantra, "Be without fear," as he closes his eyes and retreats inward. In his mind, we hear fragmented cosmic thoughts. Something powerful and mysterious speaking directly to him, reminding him he's in darkness but also part of something vast. A ring-shaped void appears, anchoring his internal struggle. When his eyes snap open in the final panel, his fear is unmistakable, wide, trembling, and utterly human. Hal walks alone down a quiet desert road, one hand covering his face as if trying to hold himself together. His body language is tense, weighed down, and the words he mutters, "I'm so scared," reveal just how overwhelmed he is. A police car approaches in the distance, but Hal's focus is inward, consumed by fear and uncertainty as he tries to keep moving forward. The police car pulls up behind Hal, its lights flashing as the officer steps out and questions why he's walking alone in the desert heat. Hal looks startled and caught off guard, fumbling for words as he tries to explain himself. His nervousness is clear. He's sweating, anxious, and visibly shaken. The officer, picking up on his unease, narrows in and asks what Hal's hiding in his pocket, turning the tension up another notch. The officer grows more aggressive, demanding Hal answer what's in his pocket, pressing him with accusations about drugs or a weapon. Hal, sweating and overwhelmed, freezes up as his mind once again flashes to that haunting ring-like image. The repeated questions and shouting push the moment into a full-blown confrontation. Finally, the officer pulls his gun, shouting commands and escalating things fast, while Hal panics, reaching out and pleading, "No, wait, don't," in desperation. The standoff peaks as the officer keeps his gun trained on Hal, shouting for him to show both hands. Hal, panicking, pleads, and tries to explain who he is and what happened in Evergreen, but he's too frantic to get the words out clearly. The officer, growing more agitated, screams for Hal to reveal what's in his hand. Hal tries to mention Abin Sur, but it's too late. The tension breaks. The final panel fades to black, suggesting that whatever Hal was hiding has just been unleashed. Hal stands frozen in horror, his eyes wide and face streaked with tears as he processes what just happened. He stammers out apologies. "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry," as he walks away from the wreckage. The scene is eerily quiet except for the crack torn into the pavement, the police car left smoking, and the officer's badge lying alone on the road. Whatever power Hal unleashed, it was devastating. The scene shifts to the cozy May and Mo's diner in Evergreen, where life moves at a much slower pace. A waitress takes dessert orders with a smile, and two customers chat casually about basketball. The mood is light and relaxed, with the Lakers game playing in the background and laughter in the air. Suddenly, the bell above the door rings. Someone new has just walked in. A quiet voice murmurs, "My luck's gotta change sometime," hinting at deeper troubles ahead. Hal steps into the diner, shadowed and silent, drawing the attention of everyone inside. The waitress gently asks if he needs anything, sensing something's not right about him. Hal, exhausted and shaken, quietly asks for water. When pressed with concern, he barely manages to say, Something happened." The weight of whatever he's just been through is written all over him. As the TV suddenly cuts away from the Lakers game, the diner's patrons shift their attention to an emergency news bulletin. The broadcast shows live, unedited helicopter footage from Evergreen, Nevada, Hal's hometown, emphasizing that the footage hasn't been altered. The people in the diner watch in growing disbelief and concern. Meanwhile, Hal sits silently at the counter, clutching his water bottle, his face hidden in shadow. Whatever is being shown on that screen, he already knows what it means. The live broadcast reveals a jaw-dropping sight. A massive Green Lantern symbol has crash-landed in the heart of the city, tearing through buildings and streets. Smoke billows into the sky as a news helicopter hovers nearby, capturing the devastation. The scale of the construct is overwhelming, dwarfing everything around it. It's clear now, whatever happened in Evergreen wasn't just strange, it was catastrophic. The news anchor confirms the destruction is near total, though no bodies have been found, and more details are pending an official statement. The emergency broadcast cuts out, leaving the diner patrons stunned, confused, and trying to process what they just saw. One person wonders aloud if they were nuked, while another isn't so sure. At the counter, Hal silently crushes his water bottle, the tension boiling over inside him. As someone asks, "What happened in Evergreen?" Hal's mind returns once more to that haunting ring-shaped image. We flash back to 5 days ago, where Hal, Jon Stewart, and Joe Moline are enjoying a laid-back meal together. They're teasing each other about careers. Hal joking about toy sales, Joe calling him out, and Jon reflecting on his architecture work. The mood is warm, full of laughter and friendly jabs, a sharp contrast to the present chaos. As the conversation winds down, Jon pauses, his attention drawn to the distant rumble of motorcycles outside. There's an unspoken tension creeping in, just beneath the surface. A group of loud bikers roars through the streets, catching everyone's attention with their reckless speed and dramatic flair. Inside the diner, Jon comments that it's some kind of biker meet from Barstow, while Hal grows concerned about their safety. Hal suggests calling Guy Gardner, but Joe firmly shuts that down, hinting at unresolved tension. When Hal asks if something happened between her and Guy, Jon reveals there was an argument when Guy pressured Joe to return to Evergreen PD. Joe, visibly frustrated, says if Guy still doesn't understand why she quit, maybe he never will. Hal presses Joe about why she came back to stay, wondering if Coast City was really that bad. Joe firmly says it's in the past and she wants to leave it there. When Hal notices her wearing a wedding ring and asks about it, she makes it clear it's personal, prompting Jon to jump in with a thoughtful explanation. He shares that sometimes symbols linger even after their meaning fades, mentioning he still wears his late mother's ring. As Jon reflects on the ring finger's significance, the sound of motorcycles revving reminds us that something disruptive still lingers just outside. One of the speeding motorcyclists slams headfirst into a mysterious, glowing green wall that appears out of nowhere. The impact is explosive, instantly destroying the bike and rider in a violent burst of blood and debris. The scene is chaotic and sudden, catching everyone completely off guard. Inside the diner, Hal, Joe, and Jon whip around in shock, their faces frozen in disbelief as they witness the deadly crash unfold just outside. Hal rushes outside, desperate to help the biker, shouting for someone to call an ambulance. He stops short at the green barrier, stunned as he touches it, and realizes it's solid but strange, like a force field from a sci-fi movie. Blood from the crash is smeared across the surface, a grim reminder of what just happened. Joe urges Hal to step back while speculating the wall could be radioactive. In a quiet, emotional moment, someone drops their ring on the street. Perhaps Joe, letting go of something deeply personal. Hal and Joe observe the strange green wall, realizing it's curved and enclosing more than they thought. As they spot a group of bikers approaching, they hope to signal them for help or warn them. But instead of reacting to the wreckage or the eerie glow, the bikers calmly turn around and ride away without a word. Hal and Joe are stunned. It's as if the riders didn't even notice their friend's death. Confused and uneasy, Joe wonders aloud what's really happening here. As Hal and Joe continue investigating the strange wall, they realize there's no cell reception and suspect they're inside some kind of dome. Joe looks up and suddenly freezes, pointing toward the sky. The others follow her gaze, and high above them they spot a dark shape hovering. It's the unmistakable Green Lantern symbol, suspended ominously in the air. Inside the hovering Green Lantern symbol, a towering figure emerges. Abin Sur, reimagined with an imposing alien form, 4 arms, and a long tail-like head. Bathed in eerie green light, he stands silently above the town, watching. His presence is mysterious and unsettling, radiating power and purpose. Back in the diner, Hal sits quietly until someone overhears him muttering and asks what he said. He begins explaining that the figure in the sky was called Abin Sur, and that the massive symbol was his, something like a spaceship. The others react with confusion and frustration, struggling to understand what Hal means by lantern. One patron shouts, demanding answers, while another tries to calm him down. Hal, eyes filled with guilt, softly confesses, "Yes, it is. It's all my fault." Hal opens up, admitting he made a mistake. He wanted to be a hero, but Abin Sur gave him something far more dangerous. "A weapon," he says, though he insists it's much worse than a gun. The waitress listens carefully, her expression shifting as she quietly reaches under the counter for a hidden firearm. Tension in the room spikes as another customer eyes Hal suspiciously and asks what's in his pocket. Hal, caught between guilt and danger, sits at the edge of unraveling. As tension builds, Hal admits there was a cop on the highway who asked the same question, implying things went horribly wrong. He tries to leave, overwhelmed, but one of the patrons demands answers, pushing him to explain what really happened. Hal insists he didn't do anything, but panic rises as the man grabs him, trying to forcefully uncover what he's hiding. In the struggle, Hal's sleeve pulls back to reveal a swirling black energy pouring from his arm. The horrifying truth becomes clear. His arm is the source of the uncontrollable power that caused the earlier destruction. A storm of black energy bursts from Hal's arm, swirling wildly through the diner as a dark, shadowy figure takes shape in the chaos. Hal struggles to pull away, but his dark, power-filled hand is drawn toward the entity like a magnet. In a flash, the man who grabbed him is completely consumed. His gold chain is the only thing left behind. The room erupts into panic, and one of the patrons can only stare in horror, whispering, What in hell?" as reality starts to fall apart around them. Hal desperately tries to explain that it's his hand. He's fighting to keep it back, to protect everyone. He reveals he can't actually control it. It reacts instinctively to danger like a defense mechanism. But before he can say more, the waitress, terrified and unsure, pulls out the gun she'd been hiding and shoots him. The shot lands, and Hal cries out in pain. The moment the bullet hits Hal, the black energy surges out of him uncontrollably. A violent explosion tears through May and Mo's diner, warping reality itself as the force blasts outward. The building's windows shatter, and a car is hurled violently through the air. The unleashed power leaves destruction in its wake, swift, chaotic, and unstoppable. Hal stumbles through the wreckage, panicked and overwhelmed by what just happened. He clutches his side, bleeding from the gunshot wound, and starts to lose strength. But as he presses his powered hand to the injury, dark energy begins to swirl around it. To his shock, the power seems to be healing him. Hal, exhausted and broken, mutters that maybe the wound would have killed him. Killed this thing. But now he's not so sure. Hal watches in disbelief as the black energy fully heals his gunshot wound, the skin closing up as if nothing happened. He stares at his hand, terrified, whispering to it, realizing it won't let him die, no matter how much he might want to. The room is silent except for the faint ting-ting of the diner's entrance bell. Suddenly, a voice calls his name from the doorway, and a green glow fills the space, hinting that a green lantern may have just arrived. Jo bursts through the shattered doorway, radiating green energy. Her eyes glow with power, a green lantern symbol visible on her shirt, and her presence immediately commands the room. She looks directly at Hal, both shocked and concerned, and asks, "What happened to you?" The destruction around her says plenty, but it's Hal's condition that raises even more questions. The issue ends with her arrival, leaving the story hanging on a powerful note.